Hi guys, it's April and yeah, we're here. We're here for coloring. We're here to do the thing. I'll be honest, I did not think much about this piece this week. So, I think what is going to happen is I'm just going to continue on with the tree. And I know there was parts of the rabbit that were kind of driving me a little insane and they're still kind of there, but might wait to see what it looks like when everything is filled in. But there is, okay, is this the, I just realized that this part of the rabbit is not snow. Not sure why my brain didn't want to fill that in last week. Okay, but I'm going to start back in with the tree. These are the colors I used. I believe what I did was I started out with the warm gray and I did the shadows, and then I filled everything in with 764, which is promptly named something really good, I'm sure. Mid brown. It's a very exciting color name. And then I followed it up with a little bit of the 769, which was the deep brown. So I'm just going to continue on that flow and just kind of run with it, I think. And then if the tree is done and we still have some time, maybe I'll come back to that rabbit and see if there's a set of colored pencils that makes sense to add into this image. Because I kind of, right now, just need an easy morning. I think that I need an easy, calming coloring. So I'm going to zoom in for you. There we go. Get all of the tree in the picture there. And we'll see how long it takes me. Oops. Try to take the cap off of the marker. I already took the cap off. We'll see how long it takes me to run through the rest of this tree. It's such a delicate, wispy looking tree, so my guess is it's gonna take longer than I think it's going to. So it might not be super exciting today, but once all of this gets filled in, oh, something exciting is happening in the outside world right now, apparently. Take it to about right there. Here we go. Okay, let's see what's exciting happening. Eh, my mom found me some more canning jars, which is going to be very helpful when the gardening season starts. Okay, so I did an oopsie last time. I colored in this little piece right here, which is technically the strap to the book. And I think to make sure that it matches, I'm going to do this one too. And it can kind of look like it's growing out of the tree. So as I'm sitting here and I'm coloring in the trees, or tree, there's not more than one, I guess I can put it to everyone. What color pencil set should I use? I have a Goldfaber set. I have my Irigens. I have my Holbeins, and I have my Polychromos. I think that's all I have. I mean, besides a few Crayolas here and there. In fact, I'm wondering if... Hi, Julie. Welcome. I'm wondering if... Let me... Hmm. Thought I was going to do something super fancy and decided, we'll keep it simple. Yeah, those are the 4 sets of colored pencils that I have. So if there's a set you want to see me use, let me know. Oh, thank you for the thumbs up and the share. And welcome. See if I can do this without going too crazy. I do like the control with this tip a lot better than the last image we did with the Tombow alcohol-based markers. But I think, like I said, I was a little rough with those tips. on a color a while ago, and that has definitely left them a little rough. But the tips of these ones are so soft. Okay, so do I want to... Trying to keep it in small segments. Just so my brain doesn't go like too far in one direction. That's usually when I end up coloring something I didn't mean to color. My biggest fear while coloring this tree right now is accidentally coloring in one of the snow blobs. Sometimes it feels like I have to hold my breath while I'm coloring some of these smaller pieces. That's not the right color. Every time before I start using the 764, I always have to make sure it's actually 764. Because all these markers look so similar to each other. There we go. Didn't want to lose the definition of that hole right there because you can actually see some of the book through that. How do I want to do this? I don't exactly know. Trying not to color in the butterfly antennae. But they are so stinking small. Now that more of that tree is getting filled in, you can definitely see the redder tones in the mid brown compared to what I did for the rabbit that has kind of those yellow orange undertones. But I think once I start coloring in the books, those tones will bounce each other out. Problem is I'm just coloring in brown things right now and I'm using slightly different browns to do it. Oops. Good news is that this doesn't feel too tedious. But I just looked up and realized I'd been doing this for a half hour. Okay, I'm gonna have to be careful here that I don't accidentally color in the handle of the candle. Okay. Suppose I should be using the bullet nib for some of this. Not that that'll help my super shaky hands. But it does help to get into some of those very narrow tips. Okay, I think we're safe now. That little swirl part right there is that handle that I didn't want to accidentally hit. Okay. I think I'm going to come back and do this part after I finish some of the bigger section of the tree. So this will give it time to dry right here, so I'm not sticking my hand in it. There we go. Hi, welcome. Oh, I think it's time to take a coffee break. Mm. Yeah, the tree's a little bit more intricate than I was expecting. It's a very wispy tree. And you kind of don't realize how intricate it is until you're in the middle and trying to decide, okay, is this a part of an object or is this part of the tree? Yeah, I'll come back and do those strands after I finish. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this path right here, and then I'll come back, I'll do this, and then I'll do these two. And that should be all of the tree, she says with 50% confidence. I have not changed the color of what I'm using inside of the light circles. My idea is when I get to that, I'm going to be using a colorless blender to leach some of that color back out. And then when I'm adding that light back in, I'm going to use a couple of different techniques to kind of not necessarily bleach out, but shift the hue inside the light. So I'm putting down the alcohol as a base. So I know that that's the true tone of what I've used for the rest of the tree. And because it's alcohol, I can still shift it after it's dried. So when I use other alcohol on top of it, it's going to kind of move that color around. So I got a couple ideas noodling around. So I'm sticking with the same color for now. But I'm still with that in mind. I've got ideas of how I can still make it look like there's a light circle. It's kind of why I really enjoy using alcohol-based markers is the fact that even when they're on the paper, you can still shift them afterwards. You just need a little bit of alcohol ink. I mean, in theory, you could do something similar to water-based markers. You would just use water to move that pigment around. The only marker but you wouldn't be able to do that is anything with like India ink in it, because once that India ink dries, there is no moving it. It is there. So the pit pens are ones that you want to know what you're doing color wise as soon as you start, because you're not going to be able to move it afterwards. It's also why a lot of artists use the India ink, the pit pens, as a base for doing lines. And then they'll use watercolor or alcohol based inks over top of that, and that India ink doesn't move. There's a carrot top in there that I don't want to accidentally color, because why wouldn't there be a random carrot right there? Oh, Tombos. I love both set of the Tombow markers, the original water-based and the alcohol-based. They feel good on your hand. Just be careful that you don't press too aggressively on the paper while using those ones, because the tips of those brush pens are very delicate. That's my only tip for Tombos. I absolutely adore them. So yeah, every time they go on sale somewhere, I will buy a pack or two, because you need backups, because there's not a ton of ink in those markers. And can you have too many markers? I suppose you can. That's why I try to rotate what I use in these pictures. I try not to get too stuck on one medium. Ooh, yeah, it'd be cool to see what colors you ended up getting. Or did you get the full set? I don't know why I have the Nickelodeon theme song stuck in my head. What am I doing? Stop there. And of course, as I've been coloring with these Kurecolors, I've started wondering if I should buy a few more of the colors. It's been years since I've tried to hunt any of these down. I originally got these Kurecolors through resellers on Amazon and on Etsy. I'm pretty sure Blick hasn't picked them up in the meantime. But then another part of my brain's like, you haven't used these in a while. Do you really need to get more? However, the completionist part of my brain is like, yes, you need to get the full set. You have them. I really don't. I have very limited space for these markers. And most of the time, I am more drawn to using my Copics than I am my Copics or my Tombos than I am the Kurecolors. And part of that is because of the scarcity of finding these. Because if I end up using up a marker, it's going to be hard to find a replacement. Oh, full set. Nice. Oh, and you also got Alien Worlds. I do, okay, I will say Tombos as a base in Kirby books is perfect. I do that on a lot of the Kirby pages. So I'll only do one layer of marker so that it won't bleed through the paper. And then you've got that nice foundation of color and you don't have to be as aggressive with the colored pencils. I've actually done that, oh, I don't know if it was a Tombow, but with water-based markers, I can't remember which coloring book it's from, but on my channel I have the Sphinx from one of the Kirby books that I based off of one of my own cats, and I used mostly water-based markers. Can't remember if I used any. Yeah, I think I did use a color pencils on top of that one. Oh my gosh, it's been years since I've done that picture. I do have some of his other books that has a reprint of that picture that I have been thinking about doing again, and this time using a different cat of mine as a reference. But we'll see. But I also got a handful of new coloring books that I still need to do flip throughs of for my channel. And one of them has another Sphinx in it that I definitely want to do this Halloween season. Because it's like that dark academia gothic style page that I think would be perfect. And I'm not sure if I've actually colored a page in Alien Worlds by Kirby. I really need to, and I think I've got a list of pages that would be nice to do, but I'm not, I'll admit it, I'm not that drawn to aliens. Give me mythical creatures, give me real life animals, give me botanical, give me, I don't know, fairy creatures. But something about aliens, which is kind of funny because I do love a good sci-fi story, both movies and books. But I don't know, coloring them in, I mean, some of Kirby's early works, I guess I did about 10 years ago. They were more alien style, and I just flew through those coloring books. Some of his doodle images. Oh, I love that concept. Why? Okay, so I got a new computer. So some of my settings for my live streams apparently need reset because I don't think I mean, this is an amazing idea. Adventure book traveling through space. But I don't think this needed to be that big on the screen. I need to go through and reset a few things. The joys of updating. I mean, I had had my old computer for like 10 years. It was time. Okay, so we've got the main tree done. So we've got those 3 branches left to do. Oh, my nose is starting to run. It's cold in my basement. Okay. I'm gonna do top to bottom. Why? I don't know, because it feels right. I have been thinking, and I can't make any promises because I always have ideas. It's whether or not I have time to follow through with them. That's going to be the wrong brown. Of It's been a while since I've done coloring pages for the channel that were outside of the live streams. And I'm actually thinking about doing that again. Possibly doing some kind of color along or speed color style video of pages that I really want to color in but never seem to really get any kind of excitement when I do voting polls for what we should color next on the live streams. So I'm thinking about doing that. I'm not making any promises. I'm letting you guys know that that's kind of in my brain right now. I've got to finish editing some of my speed colors first before I think about doing that. But I don't know. I mean, I was in a slump there for the last couple of years, and I feel like I'm coming out of that slump. And I really want to get back into doing a lot of the things that I used to do on this channel. Okay, so the idea has some excitement to it. Yeah, I think part of it is I feel like I want to get back into the coloring community. I've kind of stepped back from that in the last couple years or so. But I'm feeling inspired again. See, part of that was shoot. that handle. I think I can work that in when I color that. I know the coloring community has kind of evolved since I was last in it. There are some amazing new colorists that have started channels. And I've started to watch those channels again. So I think that's probably why I'm getting ideas. Okay. See if I can color a little chunk without accidentally coloring something I didn't mean to color. There we go. I had a fleeting thought, and it has since disappeared. I did. See if I can remember who it's by. Did have a couple of books that I was like, I did mention that I was going to maybe start talking about what I've been reading. Yeah, so I picked up The Resort by Sarah Oakes. Ouch. I don't know how to say her name. Ochs, which takes place in Thailand, and it's kind of a murder mystery thing. I I can't say that I was overly thrilled with the read. I mean, I don't mind a good murder mystery whodunit thriller style read, but most of the characters' motivations in that book just they seemed weak. There was one character, and I won't give any spoilers, that I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I could see that. But she wasn't like a main character. She was kind of a side character. And so if you're a big murder mystery thriller reader, I would not recommend The Resort. I also finally finished, I've been reading this for like 6 months, so that probably tells you about how I feel about it, is How to Survive Your Murder by Danielle Valentine, I think. And I originally picked up this book because it takes place in Omaha, Nebraska, which is a place I know well. But I can safely say that I did not enjoy it at all. And it might just be I just don't really connect with teenage characters as much as I used to for various different reasons. But the whole, I mean, it's written like a slasher. So I get some of it, but I don't know. It just, it seemed silly. I didn't even think about that. The fact that there's open flames everywhere and the tree is literally trying to hold candles. Yes, it is a mythical tree. Oh man, I just got my markers all out of order. Got too excited about talking. But otherwise, I mean, right now I am reading. What am I reading? Who's that by? Greg McDonald. I'm reading Fantasties by Greg McDonald. It's an old school book, but I'm listening to it on audio, which is kind of nice. It's a good mindless listen if you're like doing housework or something. And it very much has that feel of that grandiose adventure that you get in, say, like Narnia or Lord of the Rings. It's like that style of writing and adventure where you kind of feel a little bit of character motivation, but it's more about what is happening around the characters. And I have to remind myself that it is a book that was written quite a while ago. I can't remember exactly when it was written. I don't know. Do I want to say 18 something? Possibly. So some of the, okay, mentality of men and women is very old school. Oh, Wind and Truth. Yeah, I have that. It's staring at me. It's staring at me on my bookshelf. I love a good Brandon Sanderson. That my copy arrived several weeks ago and I really want to get into it. I have to. Okay. So I used to be a booktuber. So I have vlogs of when I read the first 4 books in that series. And I think I need to go back and watch those vlogs so I can remember all the different things that have happened because Sanderson has a way of connecting dots and things and events and ideas that if you don't quite remember like all the little details, you might miss some of the fun little Easter eggs. And I may just for my own brain when the next book comes out in the series, I may vlog reading Wind and Truth just so I can keep like a commentary of everything that's happening in the book without having to like do a full on reread because yeah, you're right, it's a thick book. She be thick. I believe she's like 1,300, 1,400 pages. Okay, so we've got 2 more. But yeah, this is also the year that I'm trying to get back into reading because I've been in a reading slump for like 2.5 years at this point. And I don't like it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have a few early 2000s books that I'm like, yeah, that would not go over well today. And also the style of writing, just between like the late 90s, early 2000s to today, vastly different. And I sometimes I think it's for the better because you get the characters feel a little bit more personalized instead of just like these are the things that happened and these people responded this way and it I mean you get a lot more into characters' heads with a lot of the new more modern writing. Sometimes it's too much though and the whole story just takes place in their head and there's not a lot of like actual things happening. It's just them thinking a lot of things. But it also depends on which genre you're like really looking at because high fantasy still has a lot of those like actiony things, but I find that a lot of the more contemporary don't have a I mean, it's got plot, but it's got a lot more of the mental dialogue than you would have seen in the 90s or the early 2000s. 1330. Okay. I thought it was somewhere between 1300 and 1400. Gotta make sure I don't color something I shouldn't color. 64. Okay. And since I'm getting close to finishing up the tree, I'll re-ask, since I've given a lot of you time to think, what colored pencils should I use? I'm kind of leaning towards my gold fabbers because I haven't used them in a while. But I have my polychromos, I've got my Holbeins, I've got my irigens. I think I want to stay away from my irigens since I just attempted to use them, which I think is why I'm leaning more towards my gold fabbers. Oh, I also have my Posca colored pencils. That's not a very big set, which is why I sometimes forget about them. It is a nice set though. We can get in there. There we go. Polychromos and Prismacolors, honestly, you don't really need a lot beyond either of those sets. I mean, I I got sucked in with the Holbeins because of the pastels that they have that you can't really get in any of the other marker sets. So I suppose you could just get the pastels of the Holbein and you'd have a really good base for colored pencils. But I will say one thing, the polychromos, or not the polychromos, the Posca colored pencils, they have such a rich color and they can go over like nearly everything that I absolutely adore that set. And I think it's because it's from the Posca brand, obviously, and they're meant to write on multiple different kinds of materials. So you can put it down on, I can't remember what all the different materials they listed. So, like Poscas, you can put all over things because it's acrylic, but it's meant to do stuff kind of like the Posca markers do, but with colored pencils. So it's this really thick, pigmented core that goes over things very well, which is why I really like it. So the white in that Posca is beautiful. I have the gold fabric just because I wanted a more basic set for when I was coloring maybe some of the not as, oh, how do I phrase this? Not as material friendly papers. So I didn't waste some of my more expensive colored pencils. And they're pretty good. They're student grade colored pencils. But I mean, they're the exact same, or the colors that are in the Goldfaber are the same colors that are in the Polychromos line. It's just the student versus the artist mentality. So you don't need both Goldfaber and Polychromos. If you have Polychromos, you have all the colors of the Goldfaber. I got the Irigens, which I really don't like using at all because they're too hard to use. They're not very pigmented. Because what, 8 years ago when I started doing a lot of this coloring, they came out and they had the most beautiful packaging ever. They were sold in books. So you have this little book that you open and you can see all the colored pencils. And so they were sold by category in these books. And I love that concept. Do I ever use the Irigens? Maybe once every 2 years because, like I said, they are hard to use. They are student grade and they don't put pigment down very well. So I do not recommend them, honestly. I have just kept them because, honestly, because of the packaging. So, like I said, Prisma and Poly are probably the perfect ones. But I do love the Posca and um the pastel parts of the Holbein. I love using my polychromos and my Holbeins together. That's probably my favorite combination ever to do. And I do those in a lot of my Kincaid colors because they supplement each other so well. Is this the 60? Yes, it is. Okay. What I might do is I might just. Oh, why am I coloring more? I'm getting distracted. That's why. I've been coloring for too long. My brain's starting to just do its own thing. I might get color charts down for both the Posca and the Goldfabers. Because like I said, the only issue with the Posca is it's such a limited range of colors. I've also contemplated getting some of my metallics out and maybe doing like the base of the candles, maybe doing it in like a brass or something. because I did get some of the Karen metallic colors. The only problem with, I don't know if the Poscas and the Gold Fabbers will zoom out, dang it. Maybe. Every once in a while. I don't know if I need to put new batteries in my remote or not. I might. Dear camera, please zoom out. Zoom in. I mean, you can see the flashing. There we go. Just gonna have to use the controls on the computer because the remote's being weird. Okay. So in the middle of saying, I mean, I guess the Posca and the Gold Fabbers are both wax, or not wax based, oil based. So they might work okay together. Before we get into that, like I said, I have all these metallic markers. Some of them are Sharpie, some of them are my, goodness, Zig I'm not going to say that correctly. And then, like I said, I got a couple of these just gold and silver metallics from the Karen line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch these real quick. I might not make the decision today. But like I said, I think it'd be good to get see, I kind of like that brassy. Yeah, that's the copper. Ooh, but the Karens go down so well. I'm leaning a little bit more towards the golds or the coppers. Because I think the silvers are just too cool colored. Something to think about. But yes, I will go grab the color charts. Oh, goodness, I'm getting cold. So I have, let's move these out of the way. And see, and this is, because we're leaning more towards like, not necessarily muted, more neutral tones, the more natural tones, which is why I think the gold Faber might do better, because Posca, these are very vivid colors. And I absolutely love them. But I think we're going to go with the gold Faber, because I think the Poscas are just going to be too pigmented, and they don't have some of the more muted colors that we're going to need. Okay. So we've decided on gold Faber. And these are my gold Faber. I don't think I'm going to start with them today because I just realized what time it was and I've been here for an hour and 40 minutes, which is probably why my brain is starting to skits out a little bit. So next time I will probably bring out some of the gold Faber and we will test out doing some gold Faber over top of these Kurecolors. Yeah, I like this plan. This is a good plan. And maybe in the meantime, I'll get some of my color cards made up for the gold Faber colored pencils so I don't have to create them on the fly. Okay. So just so we can get a look at these. I'm just gonna go blip, beep, beep. There you go. Beautiful. I might have zoomed too far out and I think my camera twisted a little bit. Whoop. It's just me bouncing into the... Ah, okay, that's my paper. Okay, I am running on coffee and a prayer right now. So I think it's time for me to break and get some food. I want to thank all of you guys for coming and hanging out with me today and finishing this tree. I know it feels like we didn't get very far, but these intricate pages always seem to take so much time. I will get a picture of this and I will put it up. I will make a post so you can see kind of what I'm seeing and not necessarily what my webcam is seeing, and I'll post it over on Instagram as well. But I will be back next weekend. I'm not sure if I'm going to be streaming Saturday or Sunday quite yet. If I don't stream on Saturday late morning, I'll probably do Sunday afternoon. So I will let you know probably midweek which day I'm going to be streaming on. So I highly recommend that you subscribe if you're not subscribed. Otherwise, I hope I will see you guys again in another video and you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.